Hello and welcome to another episode of Beer Man's Noble Beer Reviews. Today I have a beer from a brewing company that I don't think I've done a review for yet. This is from Left Hand Brewing Company out of Longmont, Colorado. These guys have been around for a pretty long time. I don't know excuse me, exactly how long, but I know that they were a staple in the beer community whenever I got into beer. Shoot, it's been like 13 years now. But I've not had this beer before. I know that they definitely don't get hype, but they don't even really get much appreciation at all. Generally, their stuff isn't too flashy or anything, but they make some solid beers. The one beer that was always like a kind of a mini whale on rate beer like forever ago was their smoke jumper. It was a smoked imperial porter that was absolutely fantastic. So they do make some pretty good beers. Other things are just okay, but we'll see how this is. This is called Flamingo Dreams, and you see there it's on Nitro, which I don't think I've done a Nitro can on this channel before either. And the description just says berry blonde ale, or that's what it says up top. I don't know. Let me see if it says. Oh, here it is. Okay, raspberries and black currants are the fruits that are in this, and this is 4.7 ABV. So, crack it open and see what we got. Whoa, interesting sound. It's been a long time since I opened a Nitro can, and it also said that this can was like only 13.75 ounces or something, which I assumed was just there's a bunch of head at the top because of the nitro. And maybe that's the case, but looking at it here, it looks like it's more filled than that. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe not, because it's almost empty here. I will say it does have a beautiful color, but that's with black currants and raspberries. That's pretty much what you're gonna get if you put a decent amount in there. So nice, really dark, dark pink to ruby red to purple kind of blend color with a nice pink head. The flavor is pretty big raspberry. There is a little bit of like darker fruit, which I'm assuming is from the currant, like something that's almost a little. I'm trying to think of a good way to describe it. It's almost like datey or something like that. And I know black currants are kind of in the middle between like dates and figs and like the real like bright like blueberry raspberry type thing. There's a little bit of a grainy character, but not too much. So I will say I'm generally not the biggest fan of fruit beers if they're not sour, meaning either kettle sour or traditional mixed culture type stuff, because a lot of times they're just either artificial or too sweet, or they really don't have much fruit taste, and then it's just like some bland wheat beer or blonde ale, and with no purpose. And this, obviously with the color of this, there's a decent amount of fruit in this. But I will say, fruit beers on Nitro do intrigue me somewhat because I think it's not the Cerise, the Rubaeus from Founders. That beer on Nitro is really good. It's just, as much as you say like, oh, it's a fruity raspberry beer, it goes down so easily without being sweet, and this is kind of in that same realm. It has It smelled like a tiny bit artificial, but it doesn't taste that way. It's actually very like seedy. And then I think it's that nitro kind of cuts what would be like a lingering sweetness, and it dries it out. Uh, yeah, I don't know. There's something about the nitrocarbonation with fruit beers. It doesn't. I think it mutes the flavor a little bit, but it actually plays to its advantage because it kind of, at least the I don't think it actually cuts the sweetness, but at least it's the perception of sweetness is cut. Now that being said, I do like this. It's pretty one dimensional though. I mean, like I was saying before, there is a little bit of a grainy character, but it's pretty much just kind of like raspberry flavor and like a dry raspberry beer, and that's about it. So there's really not too much to it. There's definitely not any complexity at all, because it's now kettle sour raspberry beers don't really have much complexity either, so I wouldn't give them a bump up for that. But obviously, if it was mixed culture, I would assume there would be more complexity. So, I would say on my scale of buy, drink, dump, I'm just going to give this one a drink because I feel like it would probably be more expensive. But if I'm being completely hedonistic, I know I usually only bring price into factor if it's like really cheap or really expensive. If it's kind of just like in the middle, I'm not really going to bring it into play because there's no reason to. But this compared to, like, I guess the Fauna Flora Black Raspberry Goza would be a good example. Like, that beer was probably maybe slightly more expensive than this, but not much. And it's obviously way more complex because of the mixed culture stuff. So if I wanted a raspberry beer, like I would reach for that. I would buy that before I would buy this. So it's not to say that this isn't worth buying from other people, but for me personally, I'm just going to give this one a drink. I think it's pretty well made for what they're trying to go for. So I think they did a good job. It's just not something that I think is worth me buying. Again, just because there's so much good beer out there, so I just can't really justify it. So I'm just going to give this one a drink, but it definitely is a well-made beer. And if you want like a nitro fruit beer that isn't sour, that's well-made, this is a beer you should go for because they did a really good job in that sense. But that's all I got in this one. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think, and I look forward to doing the next one. Thanks.